Do you ever come across a piece of information and then you just start laughing to yourself that how is it that I was this old before I knew about this? Just yesterday I learned that the famous movie composer Danny Elfman, that does pretty much all the music for Tim Burton's films, he was the front man for the band Oingo Boingo in the 80s. I was 43 before I knew that. And I just couldn't believe it. I've always loved Tim Burton's films, Danny Elfman's music, and I just had no clue that he was the front man for Oingo Boingo. And to draw a point here, there comes a point in life where we get really useful pieces of information, and we wish we would have known that sooner. And it was, not terribly long ago that I learned that we have a lower brain and a higher brain. And I'm a biology major, so if I did learn about that, I sort of forgot or wasn't paying attention. But it's true, we have a lower brain and a higher brain, and this matters because the lower brain is in charge of very unconscious things, so to speak. And your higher brain, your prefrontal cortex, which is pretty much sitting right on top, it is in charge of forward thinking, planning, creativity. So our lower brains are really in charge of keeping us alive. And there are 3 directives there: avoid pain, seek pleasure, and conserve energy. That is the directive of the lower brain. And I like to think of it like gravity. Gravity is basically always there. Not basically, it is. We need it. It produces certain outcomes that are very beneficial to us. But if we are aware of gravity, we can ascend to greater heights and do some meaningful things. But only if we know how to navigate gravity. So the directives of our lower brain, I like to call them primal tension, because they're in our ancient evolutionary roots to keep us alive. It really hasn't been that long that humanity has been emerging from a state of scarcity. Granted, there's still scarcity in the world, yes. But virtually everyone used to be a lot more constrained in their resources to food and shelter and heating, and that kind of thing. But we've been emerging for the last couple hundred years out of that situation to where this agenda of the lower brain to keep us safe, keep us out of entering into any kind of risky, unknown territory, where it really just isn't paying off as much anymore. Because most of us live in relatively safe conditions. Granted, many don't, but a lot of us don't need to be operating from this place anymore. So whenever we're going into an unfamiliar situation, say like you're a new dad, or you've got another kid, or you're getting a new job, or you're trying to get more education, or anything's changing, our lower brain does not like that. It feels very uncomfortable. Unknown territory means our brains have not laid down neural pathways to automate things. That's one of the ways that our brains conserve energy, is laying down these neural highways, basically, that whenever we're in a certain situation, we make the same decision and we don't even have to think about it. That's why when we decide to move our garbage can in our kitchen for some reason, then we go to throw something away, we pretty much throw it on the floor because we're under the impression that the garbage can is still there. That's a neural pathway that's been laid down for that type of situation. So whenever we do something new, it's always going to feel wrong because our brain does not have the automation set up for that new thing. So just keep that in mind whenever you're trying to do something new in life. I mean, your brain's going to do a good job of keeping you alive, and it's not going to let you walk off a cliff typically, right? I mean, you kind of have to override that, or, I'm not speaking about mental health issues like that. I'm just saying that your lower brain's going to do its job. It's why you get scared when you walk next to a cliff, why you want to stay out of a lightning storm, why you look both ways before you cross the street. Your lower brain's going to take care of that. When you're engaging in new behavior, something new, move to a new neighborhood, you're going to go try and engage in a new business endeavor, it's going to feel wrong because it is new. And that's essentially, barring any grand communications from God, that's why it feels weird. So just let's keep that in mind as we navigate things during strange times. 2025 feels pretty weird. Lots of emerging political changes and strangeness with what AI is capable of. We all feel a little bit nervous because our lower brains are like, hey, we don't have automation set up for this. We're not quite sure what this all means. That's why it feels weird. But just give yourself some grace as we move through this situation. We're going to be okay. We have our prefrontal cortex, our higher brain that calls us to more. And there's a lot of opportunity ahead of us, and we can navigate this. And that's it for now.